Hi, and welcome to Doorways to Learning, where we open doors to educational marvels all over the world, as well as doors to students who are affected by the opportunities, practices, and techniques that can help them shine. Last week, for instance, I spoke with a young professional, Julie Hunley, who grew up with the challenges of processing information through the filter of dyslexia, and what she shares with us about how she believes teachers could support other students with the same challenges. You'll find Julie's episode number 37 at scaffoldingmagic.com or any podcast platform that you follow. Before that, we spoke with Surabhi Yadav, who's carving out deep tracks in not only the educational world, adding same language subtitles to movies, television shows, and videos in India to foster reading in the children there, but also working towards an equanimity in leisure between men and women all over the world. Her episode is number 18 at scaffoldingmagic.com or any podcast platform you follow. I'll talk more about guests who have just oozed incredibly special ways they are changing the educational landscape in further podcasts. There's an underlying message in all of the episodes at Doorways to Learning, and that's connection. Connection to ourselves, to our unique spark, and connection to each other. And that's what's necessary behind all of the initiatives of the guests that I talk to. It's teamwork, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, just briefly. Knowing how to work together. That involves self-knowledge. It helps if we recognize what's special about ourselves, what our strengths are, and also what our weaknesses are, and not judge ourselves for our weaknesses. Then we can more easily recognize and honor the strengths and weaknesses in the people around us, in the teams and the groups we work with. How does that sound to you? What I've known and have recently been reminded of, and I'll go into that in a second, is that the techniques need to be learned. Team building techniques need to be learned. We can't assume that our students know them, and we can't assume adults know them either. Usually they're learned at home within a family, but if not, in the classroom. And if they're not intentionally presented, then our students may not know how to work effectively as a team. We can't assume that they know their strengths. We can't assume that they're gentle with their own weaknesses. We can't assume that they know how to honor the strengths and weaknesses of their classmates. So we need to help them practice being generous and being aware, giving equal time for everyone in the group to express their needs and express their ideas and opinions. So they don't only need to be presented, they need to be practiced, these techniques, and repeated so that group work becomes really effective, everyone feels seen and heard, and these skills leave the classroom and optimally follow them into adulthood. Just imagine a world, because this is what I'm doing, in which groups of adults sit down and they have their own best interests at heart, but they also have everyone else's best interests at heart. They have the patience and intention to let everyone around them feel heard and seen and honored. I mean, that would be pretty amazing, isn't it? A lot of my workshops in phenomenon-based learning, and I've talked about phenomenon-based learning before, it's basically project-based learning with sparks. In other words, it has all the different skills, not just the content, but team-building skills and agency and responsibility, maturity, everything that they need in and outside of the class. So I bring this up because it's a methodology that's not just authentic learning, but it also promotes teamwork. Again, from recent experience, I think it's desperately needed so that it trickles out to professional settings and all our adult interactions as well. A couple of techniques, a couple of team building techniques. This one is really simple and it's deceptive because it really makes students work as a team, listen to each other, respect the different processes that each of us are going through. So for instance, we give our students a simple math equation, 5 plus 3, 9 minus 1. 12 plus 3 minus 8 minus 1, 0 plus 0 plus 2. I have all these in the show notes so that you can visualize these a little better, but then ask them to talk about the similarities and differences. So they could say 0 plus 0 plus 2 equals 2. That's different than 9 minus 1 equals 8. And another one is saying, yes, but 5 plus 3 is 8 and 9 minus 1 is 8. And they'll say, yes, it's absolutely true. I didn't see that. So it seems like a very simple little technique, but the students need to listen to each other, acknowledge, recognize, and we need to encourage them to praise each other, compliment each other. It creates a whole energetic buildup for effective teamwork. There's another one I'm going to put in the show notes. We use M&Ms. I'm all in just hearing M&Ms. So for instance, if they pick a yellow M&M, then they need to talk about something they're proud of. If they pick a green M&M, they talk about some challenge they had that they didn't exactly achieve what they wanted to. If they choose a purple one, then they talk about someone they worked with that they wish they could have complimented more, etc., etc. So each color encouraged them to talk about something. It's sort of venting, talking about something they ordinarily might not have had a chance to speak about in any other circumstance. So it helps them become transparent, and it also helps them, it gives them a venue to express their feelings about things. Very, very positive. So why is this important in the adult world? Well, we were almost all of us, since the pandemic especially, doing online courses and Zoom meetings and Google Meet sessions, team meetings, that sort of thing. You've probably all been in the main room. You've all been in the breakout room where everyone's supposed to be sharing equally. So the question is it happening? If you have a few adults and there's not one leader, is everyone being generous about time? Is everyone asking to hear different points of view? Do you feel that you have all the time you need to contribute? And do you feel you have the tools to dissect what everyone else is saying and that they do as well with the best intentions? It's a question because I haven't found that all the time. And I think it's something that's sorely needed. Have you, on the other hand, had experiences where someone hijacks the sessions, either the ones in the principal room or in the breakout rooms, and focuses only on her needs without realizing that she's hijacking the sessions? Maybe she's not doing it intentionally, but just doesn't realize that her needs are not necessarily what other people are working on. So have you ever stopped and tried to establish norms for these meetings? And do you have the training to do that? Is there an understanding that teamwork is essential in these groups? If you propose some norms so everyone is honored and then the members don't agree, you need to make a decision. Do you leave or do you dig in and try to convince the others to comply? It's really important, these questions, and it's not necessary to make a decision right now, but just consider them. How important is teamwork? How trained am I in teamwork? And how can I work with other adults? And how can I pass that knowledge on to students so that they work effectively? Again, it's something that we need to do intentionally. So this is what I've been pondering this week. Team building, which inherently includes, again, knowing ourselves, knowing our needs, and respecting the needs of others. I would love to know what you think. I would love to know some of your experiences. I'd love to know what techniques you use with your students, what techniques you use in the online courses you're taking with other adults. These are things that are going to make the world a better place. I know I always get dramatic at some point, but my goodness, that's what we're here about. Trying to find connection to each other generously, respectfully, joyfully, we could say. That's what I have for you today. I really want to hear what your thoughts are. Next week, we're going to open more doors to best practices on learning. And I would love to know how you've implemented some of the past ideas in your classes, in your chats with your friends. And in the meantime, please check out activities for team building at scaffoldingmagic.com. As I said, I'm going to put one particular one, the M&M one, in the show notes, and have so much fun in your classes and at home. I'll see you next week.